So if these roots sort of form this collective capacity, then something in the way of a pretty formidable tree, I would imagine, right, is going to come from these roots, right? Because it's the demands of our society, the demands of a modern world that are pulling forth the need for this new capacity, this new mindset, which is going to make us more able and more capable of dealing with today's realities of complexity and things that are invisible and accelerating change.
So I applaud this very modern way of thinking about this. So I'm all game. So let's try to use this visual analogy and build those elements as roots for the tree of DVL.
Yeah, we can all relate to a tree.
All right. So
and the roots are, the roots are below ground. We want to remember that the tree can't grow as big as it's going to grow without solid roots in solid earth.
We are kind of like combining those elements within DVL, right? It's an integration.
Yeah. So if we think of a big tree, we have to acknowledge that any big tree has broad and deep roots. And now we know what ours are, right? So we ought to be able to build a pretty big tree, which above ground would obviously look like the trunk. And then all this other stuff, all the network of branches and twigs and leaves and foliage and ultimately fruit that is going to form the top half of the tree, which is the crown of the tree. So I think that the entire practice of DVL really is the crown of the tree.
Okay.
Is all the customs and methods and procedures and et cetera that we can do to have all these tools at our disposal and to be skilled in them for the various situations that we have.
Why don't we now use those situations to speak about what's happening in the crown of the tree? Since we have already roots and they are listed here, right? These are the roots. We should speak about the rewards these are the fruits.
Absolutely. What's going to grow in the crown that we're going to utilize and cultivate as our hybrid form of literacy, DVL. So, in our first clip, we talked a lot about those 6 classic situations. So why don't we start with kind of a quick review of those 6 classic situations?
Absolutely.
And around those, we can build these other things that happen in the crown.
So here we go. So I have 6 situations here. And just to remind our listeners, we were listing as 6 situations: one-way sharing, idea brainstorming, small group problem solving, participatory workshop, but also vision sharing and independent collective idea contribution. Right. So why don't we do the following and try to work out the main rewards that we see for, using DVL in each of those situations, right?
Yeah. Okay. Very cool.
Would you like to focus on those on the bottom, and I would do those on the top of the screen?
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to be writing in the rewards. Okay.
Yeah. The main reward for each of those situations. And then we'll try to summarize our findings together.
Okay, great.
Why do I lie to myself about you? Can it be that it's just foolish pride? Why do I say that I'm glad that we're
All right, so we have those 6 situations that we're going to cover in subsequent episodes, and we'll speak more about the rewards, but we now listed, main rewards for each of those. And I guess there's one thing that is helpful to reflect on when speaking about those situations? There's just one quality that's shared across those situations.
You're talking about clarity, right?
Yeah, I think it should be in the center of our tree here.
Yes, I think that clarity and connection, they kind of, in my mind, they really go together.
Okay.
They're really both the driver and the reward. They're the reason we're doing this, because people want clarity and connection in everything they do.
So let's prepare that. So here's the model that we used before. Clarity, and could you add connection to it?
I will do that.
And then we will assemble the crown of the tree using all of those elements.
Let's move, whoops. Move clarity up there. And we'll add okay.
Thanks, David. So now we have everything we need to compose the crown of the tree.
So if we move in, yeah, good. That's what I was going to do. We'll move that to the center place, right?
That's what we want to achieve, right? With each
really centered.
situation.
It's clarity and connection is kind of one of the key drivers here, and key rewards. And so if we start with our kind of
let's start with this one. That's one way sharing. That's one of the situations we'll cover in next clip. And the main reward here is that using DVL, it's easier for you to connect with experiences of your listeners, of your partners, because you have tools for that to expand the context in order to meet their information needs. So this creates which facet you would use here?
I would say engagement,
So this creates engagement. Yeah, all right. Yeah, cool. Okay.
And, I think it's worth saying that all of these facets do apply to all 6 of the situations.
Yeah.
They're really reflections of how we're practicing and how much interaction and participation there is between people. And we can see that in all of these different facets. Okay, so I think our next one was, better contribution of ideas, right?
That's true.
Ideation, whether it's brainstorming or other kinds of ideation.
And here again, the DVL is able to help you have this exchange, this contribution happening at a distance, and allows you to have all the tools that you need to open people for collaborating, right? For sharing ideas, for contributing. And this is something we'll cover in one of the clips. So which facet are we going to use here? Collaboration.
I'm gonna put collaboration there. Okay.
Perfect.
We're gonna get people together and hear what they have to say.
It's hard to have new ideas if people don't want to collaborate. That's what we want. So we have 2 situations covered.
So I'm going to slide in the third situation, which is small group problem solving, right? This is where we really sort of are setting the stage for higher order of collaboration, because we're going to be focusing and narrowing in and coming to agreement about things.
Absolutely. And I can already guess which of the facets you're going to use here. Isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Alignment.
Let's bring in alignment. And then we're going to expand on small group problem solving when we moved to participatory workshops, because now we're helping more people, more stakeholders get even bigger solutions, more complex solutions by managing the space and allowing systematically for that greater level of complexity.
Yeah. And it's clear to me that in order to achieve that, you need momentum.
Yep. To achieve it, you need momentum, and out of it, you get momentum. I would like to encourage people to develop over time the instinct, right, of being able to discern a really clear vision from something that's not so clear. Because there's a difference between a concept, which is where you get a sense of something, right, and a clear vision, which is where, when Kennedy, for instance, said, we're going to put a man on the moon and bring him back safely by the end of this decade. And I think he said that in either 1960. Yeah, I think he said that in 1962, right? There was no doubt that what he was talking about was the moon, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people thought that was pretty crazy at the time, but there was a lot of clarity about what he was talking about. It wasn't ambiguous. We're going to send a person to the moon and back safely by the end of the decade. That was a very clear vision.
And then we have this sixth situation, the independent collective idea contribution, that it's, again, possible because of the blessings of technologies and elements that we integrated on this tree, which altogether makes the whole process quite fun.
Well, that's the general idea. I like to think of fun as just moving forward in sort of an unrestricted way, and that being very natural and therefore easy. And oh, by the way, that forward moving, unrestricted, natural, it smells fun.
Yeah, so that was our conversation. Thanks for joining us, and
stay tuned for the next episode, which is all about one-way sharing and storytelling, and I think you're really going to like it.
we'll go deep into those situations. See you there.